I don't know about you, but I'm getting really sick of all this quarantine junk. But maybe you were smart and took advantage of Apple's offering for Final Cut Pro at a cheaper price, or whatever it was. So today, I want to share with you my top 5 resources that I used when I edited in Final Cut Pro. Alright, roll that intro. Hello and welcome back to a brand new video. If you're new here, I'm Schorle, and on this channel I make tutorials, product reviews, and vlogs occasionally. But we're just going to get right into this video, and in no particular order, the first resource I used was Motionvfx.com. This website provides a whole lot of transitions and titles and other plugins, but there's a lot of free and paid things that you can use from this website. The first one being MLUT. So I can go over to their plugins page and I can scroll down forever, but I just typed it into the search for the ease of this video. And basically all this does is it is a way to preview what your LUTs do to your footage without having to look at your LUTs in a list and try to remember what that LUT does. Now, to download this, you will have to create an account. It does not cost anything. It is not a monthly subscription or anything. You just have to create a username and password in order to download this. Once it is installed, you will simply find it in your video effects right down here. You can drag it on your footage or onto a adjustment layer, which is the preferred method of using LUTs. But for this, I'm just going to drag it right onto the clip. Then we can show it. Then we can look into our MLUT presets, and we get this tiny little previewer, and we can even import our presets from somewhere else that we have stored on our computer. But we can click on one and we get an immediate preview of what this LUT does. So I can click on another one, see that the colors change, click on another one, see what that looks like. And then we can also adjust the intensity of this LUT. And we can also change the highlights and midtones and all that wonderful jazz. You can also get other LUTs from Motionvfx that get installed right into MLUT. So if I search MLUT, see that they have MLUT Movie, MLUT Movie 2, MLUT Film, MLUT Film Lab, MLUT Blockbuster, but there's a whole slew of LUTs to get you started just from Motionvfx. There are other plugins and title generator things I got from this website, but there's a lot to cover in this video. Just go check it out for yourself in the link down below. The next plugin I use, again in no particular order, is FX Factory. Now you can use this for Final Cut, you can use it for Apple Motion, Premiere, After Effects, Audition, Logic Pro, GarageBand, DaVinci Resolve, Avid Media Composer, Avid Pro Tools, and Ableton Live, and DaVinci Resolve. Now the availability of different plugins from FX Factory will be heavily dependent on your editor. But I will say that I think FX Factory does tend to favor Final Cut Pro over almost anything else. There are plugins for all these other things, but they do tend to favor Final Cut Pro. And again, this is a free to download thing that provides you an app to download other free and paid apps. So once you have it installed, you'll get a window like this. I'm in the Premiere tab, but if I go into Final Cut, you will see that there is a lot. Now, these are some of the more recent ones. They've had ones that show up and then they're gone and discontinued or whatnot, so that's just something to keep in mind. But once you install it here, I believe they are automatically installed in Final Cut Pro next time you relaunch it. And if you want to know where I got my logo intro before I switched to Premiere, it was from Logo Pop. And this is a good, I think, utility for people just starting out in YouTube and they want a logo intro. If that's not you, that's totally fine. Oh, and you can see a larger catalog by clicking catalog. Some that I can recommend are AddMotion, Flowpop, and Logo Pop, as well as some of these, but those are probably my top 3 for a logo staying at the beginning. Flowpop has some good transitions, and AddMotion gives you a slew of editing effects. Back in Final Cut, I can find AddMotion, and they even have motion blur, high and tight, and these will do different things to your clip. And just from scrolling through this, you can see that there is a lot more motion blur in this clip than there was prior. Then if I turn it off, you see that my movement is pretty crisp. If I turn it on, you see that it's blur as all get out, which can be nice in some cases, but not this one. Also from AddMotion, you can use their adjustment layer tool where you can put it on top of your clip, and you can use the MLUT plugin like I mentioned before, drag that on top, and then your LUT will affect everything below your adjustment layer. Then AddMotion also allows you to create some smooth animation. Now I will say the downside to this plugin is that the effect starts at the beginning of the clip and lasts for the duration of the clip that you set it to. If we have it set to move from point A to point B, and we set our B scale and position, and we set it to be, say, 2 seconds, and we change our takeoff and landing to expo, we drag our playhead to beginning of this clip, you will see the effect happen. You can't make the effect happen in the middle of the clip, unfortunately. If you want to do that, you'll need to do it the harder way, which is basically to create a keyframe for your position and scale, move forward a bit, adjust your scale and position, and then in your transform property, select position, and then right click on a keyframe and select linear. Then you'll get a slow zoom, but you will not get that cool effect that AddMotion gives you for speed ramping and junk. I know that was all a tangent, but I got the idea to do this video from a Jesse Driftwood video, and I just wanted to point that out because that's something he did not talk about regarding AddMotion. Then with Flow Pop, we will want to come over to our transitions tab, and then we will find Flow Pop, and then here we can see how each of these transitions behaves. Now I don't use these very often, but sometimes they can help sell a in-camera transition. So if you're wiping your camera to the right and then you wipe to the right for your next clip and somehow it just doesn't quite look right, some of these can help sell your effect, and I have definitely done it in the past where I maybe have my camera rotate, not trying to hit the whoa, but like I rotate my camera and there's just something not quite right. I've used one of these to help blend the two clips together and make it look more seamless than it actually was. So we're gonna move on to resource number 3, and this is kind of a two-part sort of resource, and that resource is Sellfy. Now Sellfy is a place for people to sell their things. In this case, it's going to be like Lightroom presets, LUTs, and Final Cut Pro transitions and effects. And there's 2 people I can recommend, and that's Ryan Nangle and Mark Webster, both of whom I've gotten a lot of my transitions and effects from, and they offer a lot of these at different price points, ranging from free all the way to $500 for a all-in-one bundle. And I will link both of them down below, but this is Ryan Nangle's page, and he has a whole lot of effects that you can install, and he even gives you instructions on how to install these in Final Cut Pro. Ditto for Mark Webster. He has Lightroom presets and some transitions and effects that I know I've used. I can't remember off the top of my head which ones, but I know I've definitely used some of these. And a new player to the Sellfy category, but not on Sellfy, is actually Matty Hapoya. He has started toying around with Final Cut Pro in some of his recent videos, and he is now offering some of his audio presets he originally made only for Premiere. They are now available for Final Cut Pro, and ditto for a motion blur effect. Speaking of motion blur, Ryan Nangle and Mark Webster also offer their own motion blur effects. So I definitely have installed every single person's except for Matty's, and I can tell you that they are each good for their own thing. There is not a one perfect motion blur effect that I have found. They all behave differently and have their own best case use case. But I can't really tell you which ones are best for what. They are just best to be played around with for yourself. The one other thing that you can get if you don't want to use the one from AddMotion is a adjustment layer. Both Ryan Nangle and Mark Webster offer adjustment layer presets, and I believe they have it for free. Yep, right here, Final Cut Pro adjustment layers is basically just a blank layer that you can apply all your effects on, and you can download it for free. And last but not least is Envato Market / Video Hive. Now, I definitely did not use this site as much. I used it occasionally, but for the few things that I did use, I was less of a fan of this site than I was any of my previously mentioned resources. Only because by the time I installed them into Final Cut Pro, it was weird, and also trying to find the right thing was difficult, and sometimes they didn't behave quite the way I wanted them to. But basically, you can go to Envato Market or videohive.net and search like FCPX, and you get all these different transitions and text things that you can use, but all of these are ones that you will have to pay for. Often you can just search within Apple Motion and you can install the ones from there, but again, they don't all always play nicely, which is why I can't recommend this site as much as I can any of my previous resources. Like, I had one resource that by the time I installed it, it didn't install as its name, and I've honestly only used any of these once or twice. So like I said, I can't really recommend that last resource as much as I can any of my other ones. So I know this was a lot to go over, but all the links will be in the description. You can go searching through those links yourself and see if any of those are good for you. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this video helped you find some resources to help speed up your edits and maybe even be a little bit more inspired for your next edit. And as always, I will see you in the next video. All right, bye.